National park workers, mass layoffs, and a federal funding freeze for wildfire prevention work. Plus, California's abandoned dream for an all-EV semi-fleet and the silence from past presidential leaderships. A lot to tackle tonight, but we're breaking down these issues. For This Week in Politics, we're welcoming in Gary Dietrich, CBS 13's political analyst.
Hi, Gary. Lots to talk about, right? So let's start with the issue of national parks and federal funding. I mean, we know you're a big outdoorsman.
Yes.
Teddy Roosevelt of our era, I should say. The DOJ-led efforts to downsize the government.
I'm going to take that. Go ahead.
It's a compliment. And let's talk about DOJ and what they're doing, resulting in the layoffs of at least 3,000 Forest Service employees. There's the facts on your screen. Trump administration also halted federal funding for programs working to reduce the risk of wildfires. And this just 1 month after the devastating LA firestorm. So tell us about some of the potential fallouts from all of this, because there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, California, almost more than any other state, right? We know fires, and we know them more than we want to know them. And these cuts in the Forest Service are really going to have an impact. Now, again, two ways that those funds get used. One is prevention, reducing the amount of fuels, right? There's been a lot of talk about that, both the timber itself and the undergrowth. And secondly, deploying actual crews during fire season, which now we know in California can happen pretty much year round, right? So we're going to be on the lookout for this. We'll stay on top of this, but there could be some genuinely negative impacts in our firefighting and fire prevention capabilities.
All right, let's switch channels and talk EVs. There has been a local rep, Kevin Kiley, planning to introduce a resolution that he wants to roll back the state's electric vehicle mandates, but this is already after the state failed to get federal approval for that zero fleet emission truck fleet by 2042 rather. I mean, what's the latest with this, and how will that impact moving forward? Is it even going to go anywhere?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the cars, right? But not the big rigs. 30,000 big rigs in California. Think about that. Rolling down the highways on a constant basis. The state had said, okay, we're going to start with this. Many of them end up at California ports, where they pick things up, of course, off of ships, containerized cargo, and move it. So the Gavin Newsom administration had sought a waiver from the federal government to enable them to say, hey, you have to use electric trucks by X date. Well, you know what? They withdrew that. Surprise, surprise, because they know the Trump administration is not going to approve that. So we'll be waiting for electric trucks for a while. Bottom line, guys, it's a lot like the cars. Batteries, very expensive. And you can imagine a battery for the size of a truck. It's got to be huge.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of layers to that. Okay, so you mentioned President Trump. Today marks 30 days since he was inaugurated. Oh, a few things have happened. Besides the changes we just mentioned, he's been making some big moves. Let's check out the moves like Jagger. Since Trump took office again, he's ordered mass deportations, notably using Guantanamo Bay Detention Center. Trump has also overhauled USAID, you know about that, implementing tariffs, that's right, with more to come, and ordered the end of federal DEI programs and signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship. Former presidents, what's that? Wait, Obama, Clinton, crickets, they've been as quiet as a silent auction at a mime convention. So, Gary,
you are loaded for bear tonight, my brother.
He is. He's been just waiting to
gracious.
unleash all
That's a
of
lot
this.
on the plate, and you, as a former leader, you're not going to mention anything?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the concern is Democrats are looking for those voices, Tony. That's been the biggest challenge. They've gone to Congress. They've told Minority Leader Schumer, look, you got to get stronger on Trump. Now they're turning on some of the Democratic presidents, saying, why aren't we hear from those names you mentioned, Tony? You know, it really comes down to one thing. Tradition has had it that, you know, absent a campaign, we saw Clinton and Obama out on the campaign trail. But when a president takes office, tradition has been you do not criticize the sitting president if you're a former president. Some people have even asked George Bush. We see him there on the screen. He's been no Trump fan. He's been absolutely silent. So I don't expect that we're going to. And that is really, especially amongst folks in the Democratic Party, causing them a lot of consternation.
You know who wasn't silent after he left office? Trump. So,
I didn't want to mention that, but that's a very good point right there.
Tradition's tradition. I mean, let's.
Well, of course, he knew he was going to run again, and that's the difference.
But, and you would think that there would be a rising star of somebody in the Democratic Party stepping up to say, I'm your guy, I'm your girl, listen to what I have to say. So that'll be another interesting thing to watch.
Indeed.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Gary.